Welcome back, everyone, to episode 21 of the They Fly Now Show podcast. We took a week off last week to kind of
23? 31.
It's 31 already? Oh my gosh, I was thinking 21. Okay. Wait, no, we're not 31.
We're 31. 3 seasons?
No,
3 seasons?
Yeah, this is the third season,
yeah,
so it's
10
21.
10 episodes per season?
10 episodes, then the next 10, then this one.
Yeah, we're on 31.
No, we're on 21. Either way. Okay.
Makes you guys feel any better? I'm 32. I'm joking.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you all for joining us. We are going to be talking about relationships in Star Wars this week. So yeah, let's get into it.
They fly now! They fly now!
And we're live. Thank you both for joining us, Brooke and Eggy. So two returners on the show. We appreciate you guys coming on. So to kind of get us started, you guys know, who are you, where can we find you and your content? And let's go to Brooke first.
Hello. My name is Brooke. What's up? You can find me on TikTok at B_Dazzler. Instagram and Twitter at _BDazzler_ because BDazzler is taken everywhere else. Twitch is BDazzler with 2 underscores. I really need to solidify all of my make them all uniform, but whatever. And you can check out my Etsy shop, which is Far Far Away Factory.
Awesome.
Yes.
Which I know I have bought from before, and it's awesome. Great customer service. Make sure you go check it out. And Eggy, same thing to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Miss Eggy. Miss Eggy, whatever works. I go by Miss Eggy on TikTok. I just have a little TikTok channel, started it in quarantine, and now I post on it regularly, and I just pretty much talk about whatever I want. It's mostly Star Wars stuff, but I talk about other fandoms that I'm in as well. And I am usually very loud and very honest. And sometimes I've had a few cocktails, so it's all fun. But yeah, you can find me there on TikTok, and I'm also Miss Eggy28 on Twitter. And I'm trying to kind of be more active on Instagram now. But Instagram still confuses me, so I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, Instagram's algorithm is really weird.
Yeah.
It's changed so much.
Yeah, it's changed a ton.
There's so much you can do on it, and I'm like, this is strange. Where do I post pictures? How do I do that? I just want to do that.
Because I feel like you can post the shorts now.
Yeah, that's their response to TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is apparently supposed to get people who are on the explore page to see your content, but I don't think anyone's on the explore page.
And there's also stories. You post your stories, and it's okay.
But stories only go to your followers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If you don't, it's I don't know. Instagram is really confusing because I do the best on Instagram than I do anywhere else. But I think that's just because it's me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instagram's interesting.
It's just confusing. I gave up on it months ago, and from what I hear on Instagram all the time, people just post really old TikToks and oh my god, you remember this trend? We're that was a year ago.
But it's
Yeah.
it's the most popular social media platform. Instagram is. Yeah. So I'm okay, I'm trying to kind of navigate it, but it's so funny. I posted some cosplay photos on there from last year, and then the first photos I posted were cosplay photos from this year, a year and a half later. And I was hey, anyway.
I feel you need to use others. I feel you can't grow on Instagram. I feel you have to grow on YouTube or on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or on something else, and then as an effect, your Instagram will grow.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I would say I feel Twitch is very much the same way, where it's you need to use other social media platforms to grow it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Twitch is confusing to me.
Yeah. Brooke has been hitting it off on Twitch recently.
Yeah. I just finished my first playthrough of a game. I played through Jedi Fallen Order, which was amazing. I'm probably gonna play Knights of the Old Republic next. I took a little hiatus over Thanksgiving, and then I was sick, so I haven't streamed.
Oh, it
But
sucks.
hopefully this week. Hopefully I'll be back this week.
So KOTOR, you're not. Have you ever played through it before?
Nope.
You're not gonna
Well, fun.
wait till because neither have I. I'm just gonna wait for the
Same.
Remake.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be. I don't think I would play it if I wasn't streaming it. Like I feel like it'll be kind of fun to stream it
Agreed.
Yeah.
and like
makes
react
sense.
with people for the first time. So we'll see how it
Makes
goes.
sense. No, yeah, for sure. And before we keep talking about games, because we're gonna start talking about the new Eclipse, let's kind of shout some people out in the chat real quick. So we got Pods One Podcast, Darth Man, Brian with the Beard, Forward into the Black, Star Wars Lawyer. Thank you guys all for joining us. Let's see. Darth Man says, "Damn, some heavy hitters tonight." Thank you. They appreciate it. Luke wants to take Forward into the Black out to dinner. Interesting.
Finding love, dude. Yeah.
And I think tonight is the closest we've been to flying on time. Also,
I don't think we ever fly on
Nice.
time. I think we were always just like 10
we're
minutes
always
late.
like 2-3 minutes, 10, 15, sometimes 30 minutes late.
Oh shit.
If
I don't feel so
Yeah.
bad. I always sign on anytime I'm on a podcast. It's like 6:59, and I'm like trying to nail. I'm like getting into my chair. I'm like, oh,
You're like, I gotta go.
you gotta go.
Same.
go,
Dog, feed yourself. It's fine. Like just.
but yeah, so I guess kind of talk about something random. Eggy, you said you were at Comic-Con this weekend.
Yeah, I was at C2E2 in
Do you have
Chicago
any-
this
Do
weekend.
you have any like cool stories? from there?
Oh, well, outside of there just being a bunch of like, since Hayden, I don't think you were streaming when I was talking about like all the Anakins I saw, right?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, Hayden Christensen was there this year. So I got my photo taken with him with a few friends, and there were a bunch of Anakins. And I was really confused at why there were so many Anakins for half a day. And I was like, oh, it's because Hayden's here. I did get to, I went to a panel that Timothy Zahn was talking on.
Ooh.
Who's of course,
What?
yes. I actually went to 2 panels that he spoke on. He did one that was just him, and then he did one where he was with 3 other authors, all women, and they were talking about world building and how to world build when you write. Timothy Zahn Thrawn, like the old Timothy Zahn Thrawn books for the Legends Legends run. It doesn't seem like the right word. You know, like the Legends canon. It was never canon. I'm tired. The original Thrawn trilogy and all of the subsequent stories he wrote. She loves those books, and she got me into them. And so I've read a couple of those. They're really fun and super wacky, super 80s. Like, oh, it's great. And I really like the new Thrawn books as well. So he was doing a book signing, and I brought Thrawn Alliances for him to sign because that's my favorite from him. So like, it's the best. And it was really sweet. He signed, because we were dressed up as Rey and Kylo. He signed my friend's books first, and then I came up and he signed mine. And he was like just like the nicest guy. He was just this really nice, like older man. And he was like, "Oh, you guys are in costume. Do you want a picture?" I was like, "Oh, sure."
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no charge at all. I'm always prepared to
Really?
pay for like signatures or whatever, but he was just signing stuff for free. And right before it was my turn, the 501st Legion, their Thrawn approached him with a stormtrooper escort, and they presented him with like a award thing. It was really cute.
That's amazing.
He was, yeah.
Oh god.
Please, of course. So that was
That's
really fun. It was,
awesome.
yeah, it was a really fun weekend.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Um,
it is, but my connection keeps going in and out.
Oh, you're all good. Did we get cut off at all?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Oh no.
Well, we'll just keep rolling.
Keep rolling it.
I
Keep rolling
know,
it.
because I was also at a Comic-Con this weekend. I just went for probably 6, 7, 8 hours to Steel City Con. 'Cause I live in work, so we were
Oh, nice.
having a good time there. I met the person who plays Wedge Antilles, Dennis Lawson.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I was like, because I'm kind of like you, Eggy. Like, I don't want to spend money to like get a picture or like sign because I just
Yeah.
feel like weird about it. But I should.
It is. It's like I always get stuff signed. I think it's totally because it's like you've purchased their product and it's like and that's nice and
Yeah.
they sign it. Like I always love getting things signed. But this year was the first time I ever had a photo. I ever bought like the photo package for like a guest. I've never done that before.
Oh.
To be fair, my friend did it. She was like, "Hey, I got a photo with Anakin. You want to split it 3 ways with like another friend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, of course, I want to meet Hayden. I'm pretty sure I called him Anakin. I want to meet Hayden. So that was really fun. It was totally worth the money. It was really cool. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like I feel like bad. You know, I'm like, I'm really sorry. Hi. Like, I hope I'm not wasting your time. Like, in most of my experiences, though, whenever I usually meet comic book writers or artists. And most of the time, like, every time I would say they're always very happy and nice and they're very excited to, like, thank you so much for supporting my work, you know, that type of stuff. So it's usually very nice.
I'm sure a lot of them are happy to be back after cons had been canceled for so long, and especially a lot of authors and comic book writers and even like older actors that come make appearances. That's how like they make a lot I money is going to cons. So
they're so underpaid.
I'm sure they're happy to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I went to one in West Virginia and I met the armor.
Ooh.
And
I remember that.
And it was kind of awkward because I didn't want to get anything signed and there was no line to her. So I just like walked up and I was like, "Yo, what's up?" Asked her a few questions. But I just like walked away because I was like, don't want to buy a $60 picture.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I remember the last con I went to was like a while ago, and I remember it was like I did like a bunch of voice actors because like they're always like really easy to do with. Like I did Kevin Conroy, I did a couple others, and they're always easy to go through and like go around. But like I remember going to who was it? It was like it was something Harry Potter related. I remember I did it for my good friend, and it was like $200 to like take a picture and signature, and it was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oof.
Carl Weathers was at last Steel City Con, and it was like $300 to get a pop signed, and I was like,
yeah, but that's Apollo Creed. He's not
I
just
know.
just from The Mandalorian. He's like legend.
My husband loves Carl Weathers. He's like, fucking, yes.
I just don't have the connection to him, and I like went up to him and I was like, "Hi." Then I walked over.
Hello.
That's amazing.
But yeah, hopefully at Celebration they have a lot of voice actors and actors. Which do they normally? I'm guessing. I've never been.
I think they have normal
Me
actors.
neither.
I don't know about voice
should
actors.
have.
I just want Taylor Gray to sign my Ezra Pop. That's all I ever.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
I'm
all
sure they'll have the people there that are like coming out with stuff this year. So I'm sure I'm hoping Ewan and Hayden will be there. That will be really cool. They probably won't do. I feel like they will be there for like an appearance, not for like signings and stuff.
Yeah.
But still be cool to see them. So
Like
Yeah.
For sure.
I know Char's joked about like Tamora, like he wants to be Tamora Morrison, that kind of, and we've just been joking about that.
Yeah.
I
That
would-
would be really cool.
pass away.
Yeah.
I would simply combust. I
Yeah.
don't
Brooke
think I
would
could
cease
do
to
it.
exist.
I don't think I would have to get my Boba Fett helmet signed, but like I think I would not live through it. So
I heard he's like the sweetest guy.
I know.
Like
That's
the
awesome.
sweetest guy. I'm like, oh my god.
He just likes enjoying his time in the Polynesian spa.
You know.
But anyway, I think this is probably a good time to just start. We can probably talk about the Eclipse trailer first, which happened last week, and we would have talked about it last week, but we didn't have a show.
Yeah.
So What were your guys' thoughts on that? Because I know I was like freaking out the whole time. I was like playing Madden in my room, and I think Hereth texted me and went, "This is not a drill. A High Republic game is being released." I was like,
No, because I was watching Pod once, and Element came into the live and was like, "Yo, a High Republic game." So I'm like, "There's no way, you're kidding me." I watched it. I was like, "Oh."
So what was your guys' kind of thoughts on that? Let's just do Eggy first.
Oh, sure. I actually watched it for the first time last night. Last week I was just like prepping for con, and I was trying to get everything done and trying to get things done. And I saw it like it was on my YouTube feed, and I was like, later. I was like, I'll come back to you. I gotta just keep moving here. So I actually watched it last night. Because I looked at the outline that Hereth had sent me, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about the Eclipse trailer." Oh, that's right, I forgot to watch it.
Probably should watch that.
I probably should watch it. I watched it. Wow, it looks it looks. I was very surprised at how like artistic it looks. It was like the Dune trailer. Like it was like I'm like, who directed this? Like freaking like Cronenberg? Like what is going on? Like it was very artistic. I have so many questions. It's of course it's like the ambiance trailer, right? So it's just like this is the feel of it. This is kind of like we're giving you no plot, like which is fine. Here's the feel. Here's how it looks. Here's what it's gonna be like. I'm like the guys with the drums and the figure coming out of like the tar. I'm like, that's not the Nihil. Like, I don't, is it? Like, I'm like, it could be, but I don't know. I don't think that's Martian Rowe. I think that might be somebody else, but we will see. It looks really cool.
It looks so cool.
Yeah.
Brooke?
Yes.
Yes. So, without touching controversy things,
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
The trailer itself looked incredible. I thought it was like, I knew they announced it at the Game Awards, but I was like, this is a movie.
Mhm.
Like it looked so good. We don't know anything about it, like game wise. My first thought is I'm hoping that it'll be somewhat different from like the gameplay style of Fallen Order, just because we know that eventually in the near future we're getting a Fallen Order 2. So I feel like, and with the KOTOR remake, I'm sure they're going to kind of revamp the gameplay for that, which is already different than Fallen Order, but I feel like they will try to differentiate the two, because having like two Star Wars games that are kind of the same like action adventure style coming out around the same time, they might not want that. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think until they give us a release date or like a release range, will we really know
Yeah.
a lot.
Because they like blatantly just said it's like, oh, it's in pre-production. Basically, like it's like we just started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I'm like 2028.
For real.
Probably.
Because like Luke and I have been like speculating that because it says pre-production, I'm assuming it's like 2023, 2024. By that point, we're probably going to be what? Phase 3 of the High Republic, and Acolyte's probably going to be coming around the same time. So they're probably going to try to tie those two projects together.
Yeah, which I'm sure like I kind of lost my train of thought. Cuz I lost my train of thought.
It's a long way off. It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, it really looks like a movie trailer. And
Yeah.
especially because like we don't know how big of a gap or how big of a jump they're gonna take in between different phases of the High Republic. That could
true.
also mean a lot. Like, I mean, that looked like Indira and Venestra sparring on that bridge. That's kind of what I thought.
I feel like they're going to go with different characters for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was shocked, honestly, that they had announced something so big, like a game for the High Republic, so early. Because we haven't even, we're not even like 1 year into the books and the comics, which it's not like they are any less of a media as like the live action stuff or the video games. But it's just different, and not as many people are going to get into it right away. I'm sure it will grow over time. But I feel like they will probably try to keep the stories like separate from the characters that we see in the books and the comics. I'm sure we'll see cameos of those characters, but as far as like storytelling purposes, I feel like they're going to keep things separate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it seems like what they might be doing, well, at least with like Fallen Order, is they're kind of containing like Cal into the games. I know like a big rumor was that Cal was going to show up in Mando, but obviously he didn't, and it seems like they're just going to kind of contain his story to the game. And I feel like that maybe what they're doing with High Republic is like maybe its own subplot or whatever is going to be the game, and maybe there'll be another game that's released after that. Who knows? But and possibilities are endless. But it's exciting.
I feel like it's going to be like the Old Republic was for Legends, where there's going to be like, here is the canon ending, and these characters live obviously in this continuity, and they show up in another book, and they're just a cameo, and then they just kind of disappear. Kind of like imagine like there's been cameos in the comics that I won't go into the spoilers, but like characters have shown up in the comics and then disappeared and then go back to the books.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I see
Same
like
thing with same thing with Tempest Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Characters in Tempest Runner that are in the books. Obviously, main characters learn a D, but there's a lot of characters that make appearances throughout the story, and then we'll come back for the book. But checking up with the chat, Chris says like a cameo for Billy D is like 300 plus. Yeah, he would definitely still pay for it. Luke says that trailer was epic. Darth Man, I really do hope that the guys who are drumming, I really want them to be Sith. Could be interesting. I actually really like Hereth's what's it called, theory on them.
Well,
Because you're big on the Zepho, right?
no, that's Bale.
That's Bale, sorry.
So
Someone's big on them being the Zepho, which would be really, really interesting.
I still think the Zepho are in the game, because if you were paying attention during the sparring, if you looked in the background, like the archetypes look like one of the temples on Bergano. Like it looks like they're on a Zepho temple fighting.
Huh. Yeah, that could be really interesting. And plus, and even that, if they did some history of the Zepho, and that would then connect to Jedi Fallen Order, which actually could make a lot of sense, because again, it seems like they're trying to contain a lot of the game stuff in with the game. So you could have Fallen Order 2, and this, but this is almost like a precursor to a lot of the lore that we see in Fallen Order.
Yeah. Luke brought up exactly what I was going to bring up. So I can't really take credit for this theory. I have to give it to Element and Chaco, but I strongly believe that the villains that we see in the trailer are the Amaxian warriors that were kind of foreshadowed in Into the Dark, because obviously in Into the Dark they get stranded on the Amaxian station, but we don't know where they're currently at. So I assume they just kind of escaped into the Outer Rim and then just kind of reemerged during closer to the prequel era.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Darth Man says Ventress for Fallen Order 2. I don't
think so.
That would work. I don't think that would work.
Yeah.
Here you go, Darth Man. Oh wait, wrong book.
Wrong book.
There's so many. There you go.
Take this.
Take that. Take it. It'll ruin. But it's also the best thing ever. Yeah. No, that's a good point. It's like the trouble with it's not even trouble with Star Wars. It's just that because Star Wars branches into so many different mediums, you have to be careful with that type of stuff. Like you have to be careful with like bringing characters in to other mediums and because it would be fun and it'd be great for all the people who know what's going on. But if you do it too much, you're going to alienate your audience. It's like what would always happen whenever I'd be reading like Batman comics, and they bring in, and there's some big like crossover thing that no one cares about because they're just trying to get you to buy all the issues, and then like Green Lantern shows up for 5 issues, and I'm like, go away, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like the last issue was really important. They left on a cliffhanger. Like, is Tim Drake okay? Will you please leave? Like, it's just like we have to stop the story dead in its tracks because we have to do the thing. And it's like, and that would always frustrate me. So like, I feel like I think Brooke is correct. Like, I think that like this High Republic game is going to kind of have its own characters and its own kind of vibe. Maybe we'll see like some Easter eggy, like kind of fun stuff kind of being brought in from the books. But I think that like, yeah, I think Cal's going to kind of stay where he is. I think that our High Republic book characters are going to kind of stay where they are. Because like, I remember when they said High Republic game, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, are all the dude bros that said they hated The Last Jedi, even though they didn't read it, or no, The Last Jedi, Light of the Jedi, but they didn't read it. Are they going to have to actually read the books now and like catch up, or what? But I think it's going to be kind of its own contained thing, which is a shame. Which no, it's not a shame, but it's a shame that they won't read those books because they're so good. They probably love them.
Again, I was making a joke in a comment thread because they're talking about the controversy with Quantic Dream, and I made the joke of Phantom Menace creators acting like they have been High Republic fans from the start, and so they could defend
Yeah,
Quantic
right.
Dream.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I just
But part of me doesn't want them to read the books because I don't want them anywhere near Belzettifar.
Yeah.
I don't want you near him. I don't
True.
want just so sweet. So much pain.
leave my boy Ben alone.
Leave him alone. He's been through enough.
It hurts.
I know. He's
So-
gonna go dark or something. I'm so scared and
don't
excited.
even say that.
He's gonna go dark, man. It's gonna be so much. Which like I will love and also be so sad about. Like kill people, but like don't. Like
Don't do it, but like do it.
Claudia
don't do it, but like do it.
Claudia Gray about to punch us all in the gut in January.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which, did any of you guys get the combo signed book with the hat?
I thought it was sold out.
No, you can still get it.
Yeah. Is this still? Wait, what? You can still get it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Why
don't
does-
think the last one sold out. I think you can still buy the Rising Storm
Yeah.
package.
Okay.
Is that book cover? I would pay for that book cover. That's my
Yeah.
background at
It's
work.
Really?
beautiful. Yeah,
It's
I
so
wanted to get
beautiful.
it, but it's not going to ship until like mid-January, and I want to read the book now, like when it comes out. So
When does it come out?
Yeah.
the first week of January, second
Yeah, I think
week?
it's January
Wow.
5th, maybe.
Yeah, like really early.
Because that was my big thing. I like told my parents for Christmas they wanted to get me all these books. I was like, okay, and I said right whenever I heard about it, I was like, okay, if you need to get a few more paperback copies to get this signed one, like, that's good. But then I was like, wait, it comes out late January. I was like, I'm not waiting that long.
Yeah.
What I ended up doing is I bought the main book, the audio book, and then I bought the out of the print version.
Jesus.
you bought
Good.
everything.
All right. Hell
But
yeah.
You bought the main book
Yeah. The out of the print
and
version.
then the signed copy.
Yeah, and then the audiobook.
Hell yeah, dude. I do have a credit save for the audiobook, sure. Because I'm listening to Ronin right now. So as soon as I wrap that, then it's probably going to be time for Light of the Jedi or Light of the Jedi. I'm tired. Rising Storm. Like, this Jedi was a book apparently. Well, it is a book technically. It is. No, yeah, I've got, because I was stuck on Midnight Sun for like 4 weeks. That was long. Oh God, was that long? Anyway, romance, everybody, relationships.
So
Yeah.
before we start talking about relationships, because I think that could probably we kind of talked about all the updated stuff. So let's catch up with the chat real quick. Chris says, keep them away from my boy Bell. Luke says, this game will get more people into the High Republic, and that's awesome. I really hope so. I think that's probably the overall goal, is to get them introduced to the High Republic and then maybe excited to read everything else. Darth Man, let the Acolyte begin. Elzar Man and Bell will be casualties of Starlight. Don't
No.
even say that.
No. No, they got something planned for Belle.
Yeah.
Some fucked up shit's gonna happen. Sorry.
You-
Some
you-
real dark stuff is coming his way.
Chris says it's still available. It comes out January 4th, the day before my birthday. Happy early birthday. I'm not sure why the out of print can't get them done and shipped in time for launch. It's kind of stupid. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Come on. Pick up the pace, guys. Come on.
Yeah,
Launch
fair
that
enough.
stuff.
They have the Thrawn novel at my work, the latest one. Been wondering if it's good or not. If I need to read the others first, I would say yes. You need to read the others first, but I also haven't read them. But from what I've
Yes.
heard, you need.
You have to start with. You have to read 5 books. Hang on. Because if you saw the latest one, that's the last book in Timothy Zahn's new Thrawn trilogy, which is a prequel to his other Thrawn trilogy, which are those 6 books are the canon Thrawn stories. So you have to start with book 1 and kind of work your way through. But they're fantastic. I will say that I kind of got a little stuck on the last book in his first Thrawn trilogy for canon, because a lot of it was tied to Rebels, and I haven't seen Rebels.
You haven't seen Rebels?
Whoa, you haven't seen
I know,
Rebels?
I know.
Oh,
I will
Peggy.
do it eventually.
Peggy.
I tried a couple years ago, and I couldn't get into it. And I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's just like I was like, I don't know if this is really my vibe. But everyone started shouting at me, so I was like, okay, I guess I should watch it. But I loved a lot of those characters. Like I love Kanan and Hera. Like I love. I think I really respect Ezra's character development. But yeah, like I hadn't seen it, so it's kind of hard to get through that one because I'm like, what? Okay, what's happening? Like I was like kind of a little lost there for a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, you gotta read them all. Gotta read them all.
Gotta read.
Gotta start with 2017 Thrawn and go to Lesser Evil.
Yep, there you go.
St. Pat says, can't wait for the school holiday so I can catch up on my Star Wars reading.
Yes.
That's a vibe for sure. Gotta get to the books and get caught up on all the canon stuff. But yeah, I think this is a good place to kind of start off the main topic of tonight, which is Star Wars relationships. Hereth, do you want to get us started off here?
Yeah. Obviously, we're going in like release order, so we're like originally I was gonna do chronological, but I was like, no, let's just do release. So obviously, the first ever relationship we ever see in Star Wars is in the original trilogy. It's Han and Leia. So I wanted to guys ask like what you guys are general thoughts on that.
Brooke, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Sure. Han and Leia, I feel like they've grown on me a lot. The more that I watch the original trilogy, and the more that I have thought about it, and the more that I've seen other people kind of analyze their relationship, and reading some of the books that they're featured in, like Bloodline, gave me a lot more like respect for their relationship. I think they're great. I'm tired too. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are not crazy about their relationship, but I think that kind of the stuff that we see happen in Empire Strikes Back can be like misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people's perceptions of like their relationship is also because of the real life stuff between Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to put that on the characters because they're very different. And it's a very different situation. So the more that I've kind of analyzed it, the more it's like not toxic. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Han is so toxic because she keeps saying like go away and he like won't go away. And it's like, okay, but it's kind of different because she's clearly like
into it,
letting him in. And
Yeah.
I've seen people post videos like analyzing their body language and everything, and it's like very much it's very much more about their pride or their like stubbornness that keeps them apart until the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's like a good thing you brought up, like their body language, and that she's not really like, it's not this forced thing. It's just kind of how she is and how he is, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and especially with how strong of a character Leia is, and how
Yes.
strong and outspoken Carrie Fisher is, I feel like she would have been very opposed if there was anything that she was uncomfortable with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. I think that's a good, like you said, like Carrie Fisher's like a strong-willed person. So is Leia, and it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
Saying that's kind of like forced, like not forced, but just like Han's forcing her to do stuff. I just don't think that's like a valid thing really much. Eggy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Brooke completely. Before I go on, my mic's not making noise, is it?
It's making good.
No, you're good.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because sometimes like it rubs against shirts and I just don't want that to be annoying. Because I remember last time when I tried to turn my mic on mute, like I had to sign off and sign back on every time it was my turn, and it was so
yeah,
fucking annoying. So I'm like,
yeah.
I really don't want to go on mute just because I don't want to jinx myself. So anyway, but Brooks, I agree with Brooke. Like Han and Leia, so like when it comes to Han and Leia, they obviously are engaging with like the bickering, you're dumb, like whatever, like the bickering couple kind of trope, but they're actually into each other. When it comes to that type of relationship in fiction, I usually have I run out of road eventually with that type of dynamic. After a while, I'm kind of like, okay, like, all right, like, come on, like, just let's go, like, let's move beyond this. There are a few exceptions to it, but not many. In terms of relationships and fiction, I think that I just kind of like, I'm always kind of like on board with that type of dynamic. But I think that they're super cute together. And like Brooke said, so controversially, I guess, I mean, my favorite version of Han and Leia is Bloodlines version, is the sequel trilogy's version. Like, I love older Han and Leia marriage time. That to me is like, that made me absolutely love them when they're established in their marriage. They have a trust and a dynamic. They have a child. They're, and they just know each other like through and through. And it's like the scene where, because also like older Han Solo is my favorite Han Solo. There is something about Harrison Ford's performance in The Force Awakens that I find so endearing and charming and funny. He reminds me, because I look at my husband and I'm like, that's going to be you. Like when you're old, like you're gonna be like this, like I love his and Finn's like back and forth. Like, look, Solo. He's like, just call me Solo. Like, look, dude, like, come on, man. Like, super cute. And when they reunite, it is so like, well, that's why I left, so you'd miss me. Like, it's just like they're still so Han and Leia, and it's so cute. So I definitely prefer that older established relationship. But I still love them in the original trilogy as well. Like, I love, and it is, I wouldn't call George a trailblazing feminist filmmaker by any means, but I do appreciate that at the very least he has Leia save Han and Return of the Jedi. I do like that. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they're super cute together. I love them.
And I will say, I'll add, talking about the sequels, and their relationship, I'm just gonna put it out there. They are not bad parents.
No, they're
not bad parents.
Nope.
There are a lot of like Ben Solo stans that for some reason absolutely hate Han and Leia because they think that they were like abusive in some way, and it's like, no, they both loved their son very much. They just didn't know how to communicate with him.
Yeah, and they're human beings.
Way.
They had flaws.
Exactly.
We talked a lot about that on the Kylo Ren episode. I was like, oh girl, you're taking me back right now. Like, absolutely, she's completely right. They are not bad parents. They loved their child. They just weren't equipped to protect him from the predator that lived inside his mind. So there you go.
Yeah, that too.
That's the best way to put it. The predator that lives in his mind. Because they're like, we don't know how to deal with this. We're gonna give it to my brother, who I trust, and hope he can fix him out.
He's equipped. He can help.
Give it to my brother, who like turned Darth Vader.
Yeah, and I don't even think we know exactly when they found out about Snoke. Like, it was definitely, they knew that there was something going on with him when he was younger, and that's why they were like, well, we need to give him to Luke for training so he can learn to like kind of control what he's got going on. But I don't think it's ever been confirmed anywhere in canon where they find out, like, until The Force Awakens, it's mentioned that it's like he's been in his head from like the beginning. So
Yeah.
Not that I know. I'm also behind on some sequel trilogy books and stuff, but yeah, not that I know of. But yeah, they're kind of in like just a bad situation because I don't like the blame isn't on them. The blame's not really on Luke.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say.
It's everyone's.
yeah.
It's kind of every, you know, it's no one's fault, but like, you know, it's just like, like they're people. They have flaws. I have that long running, like one of the most heartbreaking, and I don't even consider this headcanon. I think this is real. Like one of the most heartbreaking like thoughts I ever had was like, my running theory was always that like I think that Leia loved him, and like until you know, just like until she died, like loved him with all her heart. But I think she was scared of her son. I think she was scared of him because I think when she looked at Ben, she saw her father. And I think that kind of created a disconnect. Like that was something she couldn't bridge because of her trauma with Vader. That was never something she got to make peace with. And then she has this son and she kind of sees that in him. And I think that scared her. And I think that's one of the reasons why she was like, Luke, you know, help. Like, I don't feel equipped. I don't know what to do. I love him, but I don't know what to do. And it's like, it's hard. It's like, dude, I don't have kids, but like being a parent, like, you know, I think Han and Leia did the very best that they could. They loved him. And I think Luke did too. I think Ben did too. It's just that raisin-headed motherfucker just did, you know, you know. Yeah.
It's called the devil within his voice, in his ear every 3 seconds,
Yeah,
telling him what to
seriously.
do.
And it's like, that's such good storytelling. It's so compelling. You know, it's such a good, it's like, it's compelling and sad and awesome and, tragic. It's a great first story.
Yeah.
It hurts so good.
Yes, exactly.
That's the best way to put it. But I never really thought about it that way. Like, I always thought that like Ben, Leia always had a connection of mother and son, and like Ben always had like a close connection to Leia. But like I never thought about putting the pieces together and like she like connect Kylo with Vader and like that traumatized her. I never thought about it that way. Oh my god.
Sorry.
This blew my mind.
Yeah, I definitely think that she had that connect. And I think that like with Han's thing was like the disconnect that with Han was that he was the only person who's not in the Force Club. You know, Ben has a connection with Leia, he has a connection with Luke, but Han is kind of on that outs a little bit. And no one ever, and it's not, and it was probably never intentionally, no one ever intentionally made him feel out, you know, or like that's like he doesn't have a connection with his son or something. But, you know, he probably felt a little kind of like, oh, I'm kind of like the third wheel here. You know, I'm not, you know, I can't connect to my son through that. And I wish there was a way I could connect to him. Like everyone, I talked about this in the Kylo episode. I talked about how like Ben is on like an island, and like it's like he's like on an island that's separated, you know, and and there's like 3 broken bridges, and on all the other sides are his uncle and his parents, and like no one can make that bridge to him. There's a disconnect with everyone. Like no one can bridge their way to him and like save him, and it's like, and it's no one's fault. It's just complicated and hard and human, you know. Sorry, I'm talking about Kylo Ren.
No, you're good.
He's just an island boy.
He's just an island boy, lonely island boy.
Island boy, trying to make.
Yeah.
Copyright. I'm kidding.
No, yeah, for sure. I have not read a lot of like. I haven't read Rise of Kylo. I haven't read Bloodline. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, you gotta. They're good.
I need to get caught up on.
Yeah,
those.
Bloodline is very good. It's a mainly Leia story, but Han makes appearances, and it kind of rounds out their relationship from when we saw them in episode 6 to when we see them in episode 7, and we can see like kind of how their dynamic is before like Ben's turn to the dark side. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it helps.
Yeah,
When
Bloodline
does-
is my favorite canon book.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
my
like
fave.
that good.
It's very good. There's
No.
a lot of, I like politics. There's a lot of politics in
Yeah.
it. So like I connect with, I'm like, ooh, that's cool. So if you like a cool political kind of intrigue and like, and Leia's story, like it's really good read.
I've heard it relates a lot to real life politics.
Claudia Gray that was when I officially fell in love with Claudia Gray, because the thing about it though is that like you'd think she'd make it obvious, quote unquote, like, because you have two political parties in the Senate and it's like, okay, who's who, when kind of analyzing American politics, but she doesn't make it easy. She actually takes elements of both like the Democratic and the Republican parties and kind of melds them into both sides in the Senate. So one side isn't strictly a representative for this and one side's not strictly representative for this political party or that. They kind of bleed into each other, but they're sort of staunch. It's incredibly clever writing, and I really respect her for doing that. Because like I'm like,
she's the GOAT.
Yeah, she's incredible. I was very impressed with that. I was like, oh, that takes a good writer.
Yeah, I think I gotta read a few more books till I get to Bloodline. But
yeah, because we were talking about it with Malik, and Malik's like, "Have you read the Aftermath trilogy?" Because I was talking about reading Bloodline. He's like, "You got to read the Aftermath trilogy first, then Bloodline, because like they connect."
Well, I haven't read the Aftermath trilogy, so
you like Bloodline? Well, you said Bloodline's your favorite book.
It is. I picked up on it perfectly fine without reading the Aftermath trilogy. I heard the Aftermath trilogy isn't that good. I heard it's okay.
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll skip it and I'll see like how, I honestly think that you should read Leia of Alderaan, Princess of Alderaan first.
Yeah, I'm reading that right now.
Yeah, really good. And then do Bloodline. It's actually a really fun jump because Princess of Alderaan is all about Leia as a young teenage girl, and then Bloodline is her as this adult, grown adult woman, and like it was really fun for me to read like kind of a story about her being this wide-eyed, kind of innocent young girl, and having her, and then like with the context of the original trilogy going into Bloodline, and it's like it's also written by Claudia Gray. It's a testament to how good of a writer she is for these different periods of Leia's life.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of up and down things about Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
I think it's great. Brooke, are you liking it?
I like it so far. Yeah, I'm not too far into it, but I do like it.
Yeah.
So far.
Huh. Yeah, I'll for sure have to get into that. I think because I'm finishing whatever, then I'm going to Bloodline, then I'm gonna read the Queen's Hope, Queen's Peril, which.
Padme books are great too.
Padme books.
Yeah.
Which shout out to E.K. Johnson, who's now on TikTok.
Hey.
Yeah.
Who
No,
we may be getting on the podcast.
Or trying to.
We're like in the works. I think we're almost
That's
there.
exciting.
So
I love
It's on
that.
Sky Talk. No, Sky Talkers had Claudia Gray on. I don't know if they've had E.K. Johnston on, but but yeah, I'm so excited for the new book. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's like we gotta get caught up. Like we obviously, if she's on,
Yeah.
I have to read everything.
Padme books are a quick read. Like
That's
you
where
can
it
get.
looks.
Yeah.
I was looking in Barnes and Nobles because I just like, I don't know, it's fun to go in Barnes and Nobles and look at all the Star Wars books. Like, ooh, I know what that's about. I've read that. But I was looking and it had like the 3 or 4 E.K. Johnson books back to back, and Ahsoka looked like the biggest one.
Mm.
And I was like, Ahsoka's a really short read. This must be a really short read.
Yeah, I only think they're like maybe 9 hours on Audible. Like
9 hours?
they're not
Jeez.
long.
That's
Like
a
you move
4.5,
through them,
yeah.
but they don't feel like rushed or anything. They're just really, really, they're really effective stories. I think you guys would enjoy them. They're very
concise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's actually kind of a good segue to like.
Yeah. Speaking of Padme.
Speaking of Padme.
And before we get into, let's catch up with the chat real quick. You got people. Does Yoda have any love interests? Yoda.
No, he's a
Yoda
Jedi
plus-
Master. No attachments.
Yoda plus Yaddle equals Grogu. Plo Koon plus Yaddle equals Grogu. Yoda ain't got no game. Yoda is the game. Not canon.
There's a whole thing going on right now.
It's Brian
Oh my
versus
God.
Chris in a battle.
No attachments,
Oh.
guys.
All my homies hate Alderaan.
Well, I've got good news for them. It's gone.
It's gone.
I got the good news.
Oh man.
Dude,
Um,
I heard that one of the canon books, the Empire, or I think the New Republic offered people that like got off Alderaan before it blew up pieces of the Death Star to build a base that they could live on. I'm like, that's kind of like fucked up if you think about it. Like, hi, this thing destroyed your planet. Here's little chunks of it you can live on.
Yeah. Would you like to live in the thing that blew you up? It's like, no, not particularly.
Interesting.
that's
Not particularly.
it's like disgusting. Is that wait? Like, would this take place before? Wait, yeah. How you mean like chunks of the blown up Death Star? Like
Yeah.
they take chunks of the blown up Death Star and say, "Do you want to live on this chunk of stuff that blew up your planet, which is now a big chunk of stuff?"
Yeah.
What book is that in?
I think it's in the Aftermath trilogy, if I remember correctly. I remember hearing that from Malik, and I was like, what?
That makes no sense. But all right, Hereth, you want to kick us off into Anakin and Padme? Do you guys have any other closing thoughts on Han and Leia?
No.
No.
They covered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, again, just like Han and Leia, like, what are your guys' like general thoughts on like Anakin and Padme overall?
Let's take it movie by movie. Let's go starting from Phantom Menace, and then we'll move.
No, we don't have to do that.
No, was that?
You can just skip right over.
We're not going to be like nine your mind. We're not doing that bullshit here.
You can just skip right through that.
We're just going to ignore the children, Anakin, just attack clones.
Yeah, we can start there. Yeah, I'll start. I really love Anakin and Padme. I'm a sucker for tragic, doomed love. They are. I just love Hayden. I love Natalie Portman. And I you know, it's like it's cringe. I think their chemistry is actually pretty good. Dialogue might not be the best, but I think they've got really, really fun sort of like, they have a nice like kinetic chemistry with each other. You can tell they feel really comfortable with one another. And I've talked about this before with Chaco, but like whenever I relate like, you know, Anakin and Padme to sort of like, you know, mythologically, I always talk about how they are Orpheus and Eurydice. Like,
Oh.
they're so Orpheus and Eurydice, because it's all about how if Anakin just had faith in his marriage and in his wife, you know, none of this would have happened. Like, you know, I mean, there's other factors at play, obviously, but, you know, in the myth, you know, Eurydice gets taken into the underworld. Orpheus goes after her, and Hades says, you know, all right, you can leave with each other, but as you walk up, you hold her hand and you can't look back at her. If you lose faith, well, you know, I don't think he's holding her hand. Yeah, they're just walking up together, and she's behind him. And he's like, if you look back, if you lose faith that she's not there, and you look back, she has to stay in the underworld forever. And he's like, okay, well, I won't lose faith. And as they walk up, right before they get to the earth, you know, the earthly plane, he loses faith and he looks back and he's like, oh, is she still behind me? Did she leave me? And he looks back and she's right there. And she's doomed to the underworld forever. He loses her. It's very tragic. Yeah, it's like, and that's a very abridged version of the myth. There's many different versions of it, but that's kind of the one in the sort of the consciousness, I think, of most people. And that's Anakin to a T. Like, if he would have just had faith and he wouldn't have let his jealousy and his rage, you know, overtake him, you know, it would have been okay. And it's just, I hear so many Padme songs. Like, I hear like Burn from Hamilton is a Padme song. It's a fucking Padme song. Like, head top to bottom. Like, when she's like, I hope you burn, I'm like, he's gonna, bitch. Hell yeah. All Too Well is a Padme song. It's a fucking Padme song. Taylor Swift, I See You. That's not why she wrote it. But that's why in my head.
She wrote it for it.
Yeah, for Mr. Jake Gyllenhaal. So like I love the drama. I love the epicness of it. Like, that's the thing about Star Wars. My favorite Star Wars couples usually have like a big, epic, ridiculous, dramatic nonsense swirling around them, and it's just so fun to watch. And yeah, I'm a sucker for them. And as for like the toxic elements that people bring up, absolutely. But it's pretend, and there's something about watching a relationship that isn't going to work out kind of deteriorate before your eyes. It's like so mesmerizing and heartbreaking and interesting, and Anakin's an asshole. Yeah. But he's a charmer too, and I do think he loved her with all his heart. He was just too wrapped up in his own ego and his own everything. It was all about him in the end, But yeah, super cool and kinetic.
The best way to like in the new canon to like what you're saying is like we were running gag in our Discord server of like a bunch of Stannikins should just read Thrawn Alliances because like that's because like
the ending of Thrawn Alliances.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
the best book ever written. Yes,
because we're like wait, it gets kind of problematic, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a bit.
I would like to give a round of applause to Eggy because that analogy was like really freaking good.
10 out of 10.
So,
Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, thank you.
Because
The clapping. Really quiet. The golf clap. That's really. Thank you very much. Just wait till we get to Raylo. It's gonna be. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
we get some
Brooke and I
spice.
are gonna pop off. Yeah.
Brooke. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I am a sucker for controversial relationships. Usually, the ships that make people on the internet very mad are the ones that I like. So, I like Anakin and Padme. The more I watched the Star Wars movies, the more or even the shows, the more all of the romantic relationships grow on me a lot. And Padme has grown on me a lot as a character, especially since I read Queen's Shadow. I haven't gotten to Queen's Peril yet. It's been sitting on my bookshelf for like a year. But I'm that's what I want to read after I finish Leia, Princess of Alderaan. And I want to give so much credit to Padme because I feel like the cop out is to be like, oh, Padme just ignored all these red flags from Anakin and she's so dumb, and it's like very victim blaming to me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Her character is her whole character is she is just this very compassionate person who just wants to help people, and because of that she kind of fell into this with Anakin, and I don't think she never had her and Rey. I will say, like, we're going to talk about Rey later. I don't think either of them ever had the like I can fix him mentality.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I just don't get that from their respective relationships. They both make a choice, and do what they want to do, not because of not just because of the man or whatever. So I Attack of the Clones is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I have the poster in my background. You can kind of see it. It's probably other than Obi-Wan and his glorious mullet and Tamora Morrison, I love it. It's the Star Wars movie I've probably rewatched the most, probably next to The Last Jedi. I've rewatched those two the most out of any. It's just so fun. It's like a comfort movie because you can just kind of put it on, and I know so many people hate all of the Anakin and Padme stuff, and they're like, oh, it's so cringy, and it's like I feel like that's the point. And the more you think about it in that respect, the more I'm like okay with it. Like, Anakin was just like this awkward dude who had never spoken to a woman before. The only other woman besides his mother that he spoke to was Padme when he was 8 or whatever.
Maybe Yaddle a few
Are
times.
you an angel?
Yeah.
Like, oh boy.
I also will say, I know a lot of people are kind of like, ooh, like, they met when they were kids, but like Padme was 14. Like, she was also a child. Let's just get that out there. Like, there was nothing, no grooming was happening there, because I know people want to bring that up too, and it's like, there was nothing romantic about it in the Phantom Menace. We can just skip over that part, because
they're friends.
I don't really see it that way.
They were friends. They were just friendly with each other. Yeah.
And they were both kind of like out of their element, because Padme is, used to being on Naboo at that point and being privileged, I guess, and seeing a place like Tatooine really opened her eyes up, I think, which makes her even more of a compassionate person. And then you pluck Anakin out of what he's known into like this world that's totally different. I would expect that those two people that are like relatively of similar age to like connect with each other. And the romance came later, so I don't think it's weird. But anyway, I think that it's like the perfect amount of cringe that we see in their relationship, and I really hope that we get more out of their relationship when Queen's Hope comes out, the book.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to get Anakin and Padme stuff. And I know people are kind of nervous because E.K. Johnston is not a big Anakin fan, but I think that she will do it right because her love for Padme and her understanding of Padme's character. But yeah, I don't know what else to add other than it's just a tragedy that what happened, and you have to put some blame on Anakin because it did become very toxic at the end, and there were signs throughout. But I don't put blame on Padme at all, really, for what happened because she had no control over it and him. You know what I mean?
And she was pregnant. She was.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like she had like pregnant brain or something. But like, she's like, okay, we're gonna have a child. We're gonna figure it out. And
I
like,
think at that point,
fine.
as much as she loves Anakin, she is like, I am focused on my child now, and I want to give my child the best life it possibly can, even if that means like she didn't necessarily like take Anakin's visions very seriously per se. But I feel like even if she had, I think she would have still kind of came to the same conclusion where she's like, no, I want the best for this child, even if that means like something happens to me. Yeah.
And I think
absolutely.
that's a lot of that kind of personality of Padme gets passed down to Leia. And I think that's probably a large portion why Leia is so compassionate for Ben, is because she gets it from her mom.
But
Also, this is the time of the podcast. I sneak it in every podcast I'm on. We're going to talk about the Revenge of the Sith novelization real fast. So, for anyone who hasn't read this book, there is some like Matthew Stover writes some like romance novel level shit in this. So like, I gotta pass. I have it bookmarked. It's fine. So, like. God, it's like the part where they reunite. This is what he writes, okay? They like hold their kissing, okay? Okay. Now she holds him in their infinite kiss with both arms tight around his neck, because there is a cold dread in the center of her heart that whispers this kiss is not infinite at all, and that it's only a pause in the headlong rush of the universe, and when it ends, they will have to face their future, and she is terrified. It's like, dude.
No.
I also love like when he gets back off the ship. I think he comes across C-3PO first, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Padme's gonna be busy." Wink, wink.
Yes.
And I love that part. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Because he's like, "Where's Padme?" And it's like, "Oh, she's in a meeting." And the way it's written is just, it made me laugh. It was so funny because he was like, "Oh, a meeting. Gotcha.
Oh God, I have it.
Yes.
You know this book like the back of your hand.
I've read this part a lot. Hang on. Okay. It felt like being struck by lightning, but in a good way, in the best way any man has ever felt since, roughly, the birth of the universe. 3PO gave a slight nod at the other senators and the HoloNet crews on the gangway. She thought it best to avoid a public scene, and she wished for me to relate to you that she believes that the both of you might avoid a public scene all afternoon, and perhaps all night as well. 3PO! Anakin blinked at him, like... what exactly are you suggesting? I'm like, this is the best book ever written. I love this book. No, Matthew Stover does such a good job in like really relating the romance of their relationship and the whirlwind, because it's like, you know, like, and I'm sure Brooke understands this completely as well, like that idea of like, oh, two people and they're torn apart by war and they're waiting for each other and blah blah blah.
Not
and
the only
like,
time this podcast.
yeah, so melodramatic, so over the top. I appreciate that. I appreciate
There's a reason why these kinds of relationships in fiction are so popular.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the most people that I meet or talk to that are like, that love Anakin and Padme or love Reylo or whatever insert relationship here that someone on the internet has a problem with, most of them are like, oh yeah, I'm in this very healthy relationship with my like boyfriend or husband of, you know, X amount of years, and he's like this giant teddy bear, and like, you know, and it's just like, it's fine. It's fine.
The stereotype.
Most of us know that what happens with their relationships in fiction are not healthy per se.
They're not something you should aspire to. It's just pretend
Yeah.
land, and then you go. It's like, and when people talk about how toxic these relationships are or whatever, I'm like, what? So every single fictional relationship ever has to be perfectly healthy and perfectly blah blah. Like, it's like, that's so boring. It's fiction. Make it big and loud and fun and stupid and awesome and like, and just make it like. And obviously, like, you know, because Matthew Stover does such a good job again with like the he covers that whirlwind big romance, but he also puts in those red flags. Like, you know, he's really good at showing how quick Anakin's mood turns. Like because in that scene, like Padme's talking about the war, and she's like, oh, the war never ends, and you know, we have to keep fighting. And Anakin's like, and it's like they've just had this big romantic moment, and Anakin's like, oh, it's always with the war with you. It's always politics for you. Like, I'm home. Bleh, bleh, bleh. Like, why are you talking about that? And she's like, I'm pregnant. Shut up. You know, and he's like, yay! You know, and it's like, and it's kind of like those moods. Like, he's a dangerous person, but like, you can definitely see how someone as smart and empathetic and amazing as Padme would fall for him, because. And she acknowledges it. She's just like, you know, I'm a little bit older than him. I'm more mature. You know, I'm more like, also shout out to the fact that like there's a relationship in fiction where the woman is older than the man. Like, I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That never happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they're great. They're
or even just
fun.
Like age appropriate for that. I feel like it's always like the woman is always younger or significantly younger, so it is refreshing.
Yeah.
Anakin Padme, it's just like,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like I agree with earlier, like you guys, like a lot of people just like fascinate on like, oh, the dialogue is so bad and this. It's like those talking points have been like heard so many times. Like let's dive into like the relationship overall.
And I feel like people don't talk about like the things that they did really well in that movie, in those movies with their relationship. Like all of the quiet moments where they're just kind of like looking at each other, the chemistry is there. It's a lot of the dialogue that has the problems. And like the moment in Revenge of the Sith where they're kind of like staring out across the city from each other is like just gut wrenching, and it's like it's a lot, and I love it and hate it.
I think one of the best moments to show like the good parts of the relationship is whenever they're in the field in Attack of the Clones, and they're rolling around, and Anakin gets sat on, and it's funny, and they're laughing, having a good time, and having a picnic, and it's just like, this doesn't have there's no dialogue needed here, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's just their chemistry itself can drive the scene so much.
And shout out to the Clone Wars for giving us more of their relationship too, and making Padme a much more active person, like in that point in her life. And because I always joke about how like as the prequels go on, Padme does less and less, you know, and I like that the Clone Wars give them that time, and they give them episodes and adventures, and a lot of it does usually revolve around Anakin's jealousy or whatever, but like there are these amazing, like the scene where he gives her his lightsaber, like it,
Mm-hmm.
God almighty, like just bury me in the backyard right now. Like, but it is kind of funny because he's like, I'm giving this to you, it's yours, but like I also do need it back. Like I do need it back. Like it's just it's really sweet. They do a lot of really wonderful things in the show.
Same thing with Thrawn Alliances. We get that whole subplot with Anakin and Padme. That's
Yeah.
like fun. I really like that subplot. That's like, oh, that's.
I love when they go on
really
adventures together and they're like
Yes.
working together. Like
Yes.
it reminds me a lot of like Mara Jade and Luke, like in the Legends and in Legends and stuff like that. They have a great working, like, all right, you do this, all right, you do this, okay, boom, 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 boom. Like they have like a wonderful kind of, they play off each other very well. They're very good together in the field.
Which,
good. And
sorry, go.
I was just say like the whole time she's like, oh my, because what does she refer to Anakin as, like her uncle? I think, right?
Yeah, my Uncle Anakin.
She's like
That's
Uncle
what she
Anakin
says.
will come with your credits. Trust me.
Yeah.
She's like, Anakin, please,
Yeah, he'll
Anakin,
show up.
Please come, please come.
Yeah, please find me. Please.
Yeah, it's just such a great, and like you have to see how, like whenever Anakin like finds out that she's like gone, he like freaks out.
Oh
He's like, "Hey, well, we're going, bye.
Yep.
I'm going on my own mission." They're like, I forget, someone like questions him. He's like, no, I'm on my own mission. Or whenever he gets to whatever the planet's called, he, like, people are like, well, why are you a Jedi on doing your own mission? Like, kind of like sus of him. He's like, I'm doing my own thing. Don't bother me. I
Yeah.
need to get her back.
Yep.
But yeah, let's check up with the chat. Elman says, am I the only girl you've spoken to? Yep, all my life.
Yep, all my life.
All my life.
Shout out to Padme for walking away for a few during the second Clovis arc.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Brush Clovis sucks.
She was never into him. Never. I've never
No.
it's fucking dumbass on his incel subreddits. Like, she's not into you. She's not into you. He tries kissing her in one of the Padme books, and she's like, whoa, no, I'm not. No, thank you. And he's like, I'll wait. I'm like, I hate this.
Creepy pedophile stuff.
Yeah, no thanks.
There's a comment I wanted to highlight. It's Chris was saying that Burn is Padme's song. Room Where It Happens is Anakin's song.
Which
could
song?
not-
Rumor?
Room Where It Happens from Hamilton.
Oh, Rumor It Happens. Yes, that is such an Anakin
That is
song. Absolutely.
such an Anakin song. That is like his theme song.
Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of like a good segue into the next one. This because like I put these two together. One, because release order, and two, I feel like they just mirror each other, and I kind of like looking at these two and like comparing, contrasting them. And that is Obi-Wan and Satine.
Teen.
Obi-Dean.
Mm.
Because like if you
The Monk and the Duchess.
the Monk and the Duchess, because like what I love with the Clone Wars is like they took Anakin and Padme, which is like Anakin fell to the dark side because he let love blind him. Obi-Wan turned more to the light because he didn't want like risk everything he had for a relationship. Like I love how those two just kind of contrast each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great. Do you guys have any opinions on Obi-Teen?
Let's
And-
start with this one.
And Porky Kenobi.
That-
Is that
I feel like if you say it 3 times,
So-
Julia will just show up.
I don't have as many thoughts about Obi-Wan and Satine, because I feel like I like how it kind of rounds out his relationship with Anakin, and kind of how it mirrors, you know, what Anakin's going through. And it's like if Obi-Wan had just like, and they just didn't give each other what they needed, and Obi-Wan didn't know how to help Anakin in the best way, but Anakin also wasn't honest with Obi-Wan about things. So like, there's all that.
yeah?
Because I feel like if Obi-Wan had just been like, you know, similar thing happened to me with, you know, someone that I met a long time ago, blah, blah, blah. Like, it might have helped make Anakin feel a little less alone. I don't have a lot of, like, strong opinions about their relationship. I think that I lost my train of thought. It's another person that Obi-Wan loses, and I think as much as like Satine she is her own character, and she does have kind of her own like personality and her own like stake in the world. She also was someone very much to like add to Obi-Wan's story and just help solidify that no matter who Obi-Wan loses or how much he, loses, he's still going to like choose the light and be a strong person who's not going to like let it affect him in the way that like we saw it affecting Anakin. But I don't know, as far as the relationship goes, I would love to get more of it from when they met. Like, I'd love to get a story from the like whole Mandalore mission that he had to go on. I think that would be cool to see more of that. I feel like that would help round out Satine as a character as well. As I am indifferent. I feel like I'm mostly indifferent to Corky Kenobi. If we're gonna go there. I think that there's just not with 6 episodes of the Kenobi show. I don't think they're gonna go there. I don't think, to be honest, I'm like in the camp of most of the things that happened in the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan were to support Anakin's character and Anakin's story. Mm-hmm. Most of the things we get from Obi-Wan are like master and apprentice, and
to like mirror
even
almost.
Like twin sons, like that one episode that he's in. I feel like that is more about Obi-Wan than the stuff we see in the Clone Wars. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Or like if we're moving forward in the Kenobi series, I just don't think that they're going to really talk about things that happened in the Clone Wars unless it pertains to something with Anakin. I know a lot of people want to see flashbacks with Satine or even like Cody showing up, and I just don't think those are necessarily that important to Obi-Wan's character overall. And with so little time, like with 6 hours of content, I don't think they're gonna do much more with their relationship going forward. I could see them going backwards, and we'll get a novel maybe eventually of Obi-Teen. But other than that, like, I don't have very like strong feelings about this one.
Yeah, I feel like them to introduce like Corky being a Kenobi and Obi-Wan, I think it's just kind of too out there, because that's introducing way too much for a 6-episode series that is supposed to be focused around Obi-Wan, and introducing that Obi-Wan has a child, I don't think would just make sense.
Like,
yeah, I agree.
I've never been big on Corky Kenobi myself.
Same.
I don't know.
My belief, like, I've been trying to like manifest this like for the last like couple months, is I think the best way to explore Obi-Wan Satine's relationship is a book. Well, I'm hoping after Fallen Star is done and Claudia Gray has more time, she can go back and do a Master Apprentice sequel, but with Obi-Wan and Satine, and then have Qui-Gon kind of be like the protagonist, and you're just watching everything from his eyes.
That would be really interesting. Yeah, to get Claudia to come back and write a...
Yeah, more Qui-Gon too. I love Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like for Obi-Wan and Satine, for me, I really like them. I think the reason why I like them is because you have the forbidden love aspect there, which is really fun. And I think it was like, I also really thought it was actually kind of weirdly kind of brave in a way for them to give Obi-Wan this love interest, because like you'd think like out of all the Jedi ever, Obi-Wan would never have like been tempted to leave like the Jedi Order for love, but it shows like, oh, even kind of like our best Jedi, our best and our brightest, like, there's that moment for him. And I think the thing I like the most about them is that they're the opposite. They like, again, like Brooke was saying, like in terms of mirroring Anakin, Satine and Obi-Wan's relationship mirrors Anakin and Padme's, because Anakin and Padme, because Satine and Padme are both politically involved. They're Padme was a queen, turned senator. Satine is a duchess. they're in charge of the livelihoods of many people. And Obi-Wan and Anakin are, of course, both Jedi. But what that mirror aspect comes in with is that Anakin and Padme decided to kind of say, screw it, like, we're going to find a way to make this work. We're going to be together and, you know, we'll figure it out. Whereas Satine and Obi-Wan both were like, duty comes first. Like, we're not gonna, like, we can't take that risk, and we can't live two lives, and it's just not gonna work out. Like, I got a candle burning for you in the pulpit, but like, we can't be together.
I have my priorities.
Yeah, we have our duties, you know, and I think that's I really love that aspect, and I love that there's still that spark there. They have the bickering thing, and I really like it with them because it's not played out too much. Their confrontation on the Voyage of Temptation arc in the Clone Wars is great when they're you know, you're a pacifist. She's like, you're a warmonger, like in this back and forth. And Anakin's just drinking liquor. Like, this is the best thing in my life. Like, Anakin's just like, I remember when I showed my husband some episodes of the Clone Wars, and we got to that episode, and he was like, what's going on? And I'm just like, I don't know. And he's like, what's happening? I'm like, we used to like have a thing, and he loved that. He was like, that's so cute. Like, and just there is this their dynamic is interesting. I love like the political back and forth with them because they both have good points. I think it's cool. And yeah, like I said, I agree with you guys. I would like a prequel story about their time protecting her. That's like, because that's just like, that's the perfect novel.
Yeah.
Like, let's do it. I remember when Master and Apprentice was announced, we all thought that was what it was going to be. And it turned out to be something else, which is still fantastic. But and I agree with you guys. The quirky Kenobi thing, I can go either way with it. I used to be kind of stone fast, like, he's a Kenobi, but it was more so because it was just kind of funny to kind of engage with that theory.
Yeah.
But I could go either way with it. I think if they want to make him a Kenobi, fine. If they don't, fine. But yeah, with 6 episodes, you guys are right. I don't see that being brought in. I have a feeling that one of the episodes is going to be dedicated to every person he's lost. I think like he's going to be dehydrated in the desert or something, and he's going to see all of the people that he's lost over the years. And maybe we'll see Satine for a moment. We'll see like all of the people, like Qui-Gon. We'll see like flashes or a few quick scenes.
I can even see I can imagine like Shmi or something too. Oh god.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt so good. Yeah, but that's how I see them kind of incorporating those elements in. I don't see like a big long flashback with like Satine. Like I don't see it. So, but yeah.
But also because you have to think most of the people that are watching the Obi-Wan show, because it's about freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, they want
everyone's
Obi-Wan.
going to be watching. And the large majority of the audience probably hasn't seen the Clone Wars. So having just a brief flashback, like visions or real quick, just to make all of us satisfied, but then not to dive too much into it where you could lose some of that viewership.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, Obi-Wan Satine, I really like that they did add Obi-Wan having a love interest. I just think it adds a lot more to his character. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit, but like Obi-Wan and Satine had their priorities straight. They knew that Satine knew she had to rule Mandalore before anything. Obi-Wan knew he had to dedicate his life to the Council before anything. And then they tried to get their relationship kind of like second under all of that, which makes sense, as if you kind of directly mirrors Anakin and Padme's, where they didn't really have their priorities straight and they just tried to just basically the opposite of what Obi-Wan did, and it didn't work.
They wanted to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, yeah, for sure.
Well, turning to the.
Do you guys have anything? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Do you guys have anything else to touch on with Obi Satine before we kind of move on? All right. And yeah, the next relationship we're going to be talking about is Hera and Kanan Which, Eggy, you haven't watched.
Rebels.
I've seen I know all the beats. I know what happens, and I've seen a couple episodes, and I have done a little I've done some YouTube compilations of them. It's okay. I think they're adorable. I love them very much.
Have either of you read A New Dawn?
I started it.
Oh, no.
And I got up to I think I literally got up to the point where they met, and then I just fell off. Because I was listening to audiobooks while I was commuting over the summer back and forth from camp.
That's literally what I would
And
be
yeah,
to
but
my therapy,
now
and
I
would
work
listen.
at home most of the time, so I don't unless I'm driving, I don't listen to audiobooks as often. Or I was on a flight and I was listening to Dooku Jedi Lost, but I'm halfway through all of these audiobooks because I start them and then I fall off. But anyway, I will
Hereth,
finish it eventually.
Have you?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, I'm the only one that's read A New Dawn on here. That makes me sad. You guys need to read it.
I just know Kaden Jarrus is a fuckboy in that book, and that's all I know.
So yeah, and that's what makes it really interesting is that Kanan is this big macho trying to act like he's all tough guy going from planet to planet, meeting people. He's like, oh, I don't need these people. I don't need these people. And then they're in a back alleyway. And Kanan walks outside, kind of peeks outside the back alley, and he sees this Twi'lek beating the crap out of 5 different. Well, spoilers for A New Dawn.
Oh, it's okay.
That's fine.
He sees this Twi'lek beating the crap out of all 5 people, so he's like, "Oh, I want to go join in." So then he does, and he's like, "Hey," at the end, I think he's like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Hera," and walks away. And a few days later, they're at the cantina, and she walks in, and they just start hitting it off right away. And you see this Kanan, who's this big macho guy, kind of starting to soften up and actually start developing feelings to someone, which is what he never had after he lost his master. He just kind of was this nomad going on his way in the galaxy, and then finally, once he met Hera, she kind of grounded him. And at the end of the book, which you guys, if I kind of spoiled the end of the book,
No,
anyone? Okay.
It's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So at the end of the book ends with Hera. It makes you so happy. So they finish out the story, the main plot line of it, and the very last thing, because they've been hinting at Hera's ship the entire time, and he's like, "Oh, you're hyping up your ship, you're talking about this a lot, blah blah blah." And then finally at the end, she's like, "Well, just come with me and we can go on our own." And he's debates it, and he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll come with you." And then they walk, and they come up over the hill, and there's the ghost, and he's astonished. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so nice." And then they get in, and it just makes me feel so good.
You sound so smitten. You're like,
It ends off on a really good note. Hold on, I need to find it because it's
very Solo-like.
It ends perfect.
Mm.
It is very Solo-like.
Definitely.
What's the thing I was trying to find?
Yeah. Well.
Fill the void while I'm trying to find.
Well, yes. Well, I guess we'll just turn back to the chat because Carter looks for that section in New Dawn. Element 7 said, "My favorite part of OB-Teen is Satine and all the efforts she puts into the diligence." I don't just butchered that. Oh.
Okay, so the last paragraph of A New Dawn, and it's and the Force, well, it might be with him, referring to Kanan, or it might not. Kanan would get by either way. He always had. He slapped the other side of the ghost and winked as he made for the ramp. Let's go somewhere.
Aww.
And
I
then
love it.
ends. Oh, it's so.
I think that the also it should be said, and I'm happy we're talking about Kanan and Hera because it gives us the opportunity to acknowledge something about, I'd say, the majority, not all, especially if we get to Quinlan and Ventress, but the majority of these relationships that we're talking about, these relationships are very white and they are very heterosexual.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of we're getting a lot of more representation in the High Republic, and it's awesome. But when it comes to kind of like those landmark relationships, it's very white, it's very hetero, and I'm not saying that Kanan and Hera is necessarily, like, oh yeah, well that like Hera counts as like a person of color. Like, no, I don't think that. I think that she is an obvious, she could be considered to be a stand-in for maybe a woman of color, the same way that a lot of people read Ahsoka as a black woman, which I agree with, but it doesn't read the same. It's not the same as Quinlan and Ventress in that terms of representation, but it does mean something that we have a couple that isn't just Caucasian, and it also being that Kanan, I don't believe is white,
No.
or not entirely. As much some of the shows would like to make you believe. It's like, oh, he looks a little pale here, guys. Oh boy.
Bad batch.
But the fact that you have a Twi'lek, the Twi'lek woman, you have an alien and a human is really cool, and it's good to see, and especially being in a Rebels, which is primarily aimed towards kind of younger audiences. It's nice. It's a really good place for that. And it's a nice little, I would like to see more of that. And I think they're so cute together. I think they just, that's an example of a relationship where I think there is so much, not that there is a mutual respect between any of the other relationships we've talked about or are going to talk about, but I'd say that if you're going to model your relationship after any Star Wars couple,
it's going to be these two.
It's going to be these two.
Yeah.
It's going to be these two for sure. And there's this, so yeah, I don't have much to say on them. That's pretty much it. I think they're super cute. So I'll throw it back to you guys, but I just want to say that. Yeah.
I think one of the things that makes Kanan and Hera so special is that they build off of one another.
Yeah.
There's so many times throughout Rebels where Hera is like, hey, Kanan, why are you doing this? And Kanan's like, Hera, why are you doing this? And they just kind of learn from each other, which I think is signs of a really healthy relationship that's very mutual, and that they're both willing to learn and kind of build off each other. I think one of the best examples of this is during the Trials of the Darksaber episode, whenever Kanan's not letting Sabine train with the Darksaber. He's having to train with the sticks, and Hera takes him back to the ship, and he's like, why are you doing this? You wouldn't be doing this with Ezra, but why are you making Sabine train like this? And he's like, you know what? I think you're right. And it ended up working out in the end. So I don't know, their relationship is just really, really healthy, and it's a shame that it had to end how it did.
Yeah. I will say they're also very respectful of each other's boundaries. So before I watched Rebels, I had been under the impression that we would see a lot of their romantic relationship, which actually really wasn't the case until very later on, because I think Kanan was very respectful of knowing that he was kind of second fiddle to the resistance and the rebellion. It was always very I know that this is Hera's number one priority, and her number one priority is the rebellion and making sure that her crew is safe and healthy. And I feel at least once a season Kanan will be hey, Hera, and she's not now. until later on, when she's finally I think starts to kind of feel, I don't want to say feel more pressure, but I feels more life's short, so why not kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I also very much like them. I think it is, as much as I love the big relationships, the big forbidden love, enemies to lovers, I also think it is important to have some healthy relationships in our media, especially with a show like Rebels. Like Eggy said, it was originally geared towards a younger audience. There's so many very mature themes in the show, but targeting the audience was a lot younger, and showing them a relationship like that is super important.
Yeah, it's just I don't know their relationship. It just makes me feel happy.
Aw. Sorry, I just saw what Chris said in the chat. He goes, life
Life
was
was
short
short.
for Kanan.
Kanan.
No!
Did any of you guys see the TikTok I made the other day?
Oh no!
I don't know
What?
if I saw it or not.
I chose
did-
violence.
I can't remember.
I did like like trying to like unbox someone's phone and then like you make a
Mhm.
face like that person. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I know
like
where
that trend.
God damn it,
I don't
Carter.
think so.
And basically I said like, oh, I need to unlock Kanan's phone, and I like went to like this random skull I had in my basement.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
See
yeah,
that?
And I ate.
I
I thought that was funny.
But
like-
I will say, I also like kind of how, because Kanan is a Jedi, but he had a very different experience with the Jedi being the age he was during Order 66 than we saw like Obi-Wan or Anakin, and how they dealt with attachment. And so I think it's interesting that Kanan, and like I would say Cal Kestis too, to a point, although we don't get as much of him and his relationship with Marin that I hope we get more of in Fallen Order 2. But Order 66 kind of happened before their like puberty and their hormones raged. So they have a very different, I think, relationship with the idea of attachment, and I don't see them struggle with it in the same way that maybe an older surviving Jedi would. Like, we see Ahsoka is a perfect example. We see her when she's in The Mandalorian. She says, I can't train Grogu because he's so attached to you. And so she still has that view, kind of the view that it's just a different experience than the younger Jedi would have experienced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like they
she
can
took
have
that tradition with her. You know,
yes, yeah,
Kanan,
and
yeah,
they didn't have to. The younger ones didn't have to as much. So I don't think it was something that they necessarily like struggled with.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, just like the kiss at the end means so much. Like, and he kisses her, and then 5 seconds later.
Oh.
Darn it. Hate my life.
It's
Pain.
yeah.
Pain.
It turns out that a lot of times kisses in Star Wars lead to
It's a bad
nightmarish
thing.
developments.
I remember I was out the
Hand gets frozen in carbonite. Every woman that Luke kisses in Legends dies. I'm like, Luke, don't kiss people.
Anakin chokes Padme after she kisses
Anakin
him.
chokes.
Yeah, Ben dies. Turns out that when a kiss happens, something terrible is gonna follow it.
Yep.
So I was out to breakfast one day with all my friends. One who has watched Rebels, the rest don't really care about Star Wars. And I was like scrolling through TikTok, and a really sad Kanan and Hera edit came up, and I just started crying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, I hate my life.
Yeah.
But no, their relationship is so special, and it's perfect for Ezra, because Ezra, who, like, you kind of relate Ezra a little bit to Anakin in the sense that Anakin needed a parental figure that Obi-Wan couldn't necessarily give him, which isn't a bash on Obi-Wan, but it's just kind of how it was. And it's the same thing with Kanan and Hera, how Ezra again needed that parental figure, but Kanan and Hera gave Ezra that parental figure. Why Ezra doesn't turn with Maul, and why he sacrifices himself in the end like he does, is largely because of the impact that Kanan and Hera and their relationship has on him.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like a poetic way to kind of like segue to like the next topic, because like I feel like yeah, Ezra's end is the perfect way to describe the Kanan and Hera. Like Kanan and Hera's effect live on in the Ghost Crew.
Yes, yeah, and I hope we see that in Ahsoka.
We will.
But
She's gonna go get Ezra.
segue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just mean like the lessons. He better if they don't get Ezra, I'm like going to have.
Segueing into Chris's and everyone's worst nightmare. Well, not worst nightmare, just Chris's worst nightmare, because it's the end thing.
If you haven't read Lost Stars, leave now and just have a good night. So, and I guess we have this and then Ray and Ben. So we're ending it off on some kind of sad notes, but before we get started on that, let's catch up with the chat real quick. F in the chat for Kanan. Chris says life was short. ... for Kanan.
Yeah.
Master Euro, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. But yeah, so I'm guessing you both have read Lost Stars.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Where do we even start? So, Thane and Sienna, it's like the most tragic thing ever, I swear. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? There's a lot to unpack from everything ever. So, take it away, Brooke, if you want to go first.
Sure. It's been a while. I want to reread Lost Stars, but it's just a lot. I love that we get to see them through like growing up. I think that's an interesting thing that we don't normally see in Star Wars, at least in like the movies and the shows. Less of it. Like we got a little bit of young Anakin, but then we jump forward 10 years. So we don't really get like a chronological time period like that, because we get a lot of when they're kids, a lot of when they're teenagers, and then a lot of when they're adults or young adults. So I think and I feel like that is important when you're introducing new characters into such an established universe. You kind of have to build the attachment and just build the relationship of those characters for you to like understand them and be attached to them. Because I didn't think that I would be so like attached to two characters just from one book, but like it's a lot.
Yeah, and like you're saying with like really helps, and it shows like that like before they went to the Imperial Academy, like throughout their childhood they're constantly visiting their little cavern where they hang out all the time. They're constantly stressing like stuff with Sienna's morals, which then come to play later down the line, which is just really creative by Claudia. I think like this relationship is just so unbelievably well done in that book that like bravo to her.
Yeah.
Eggy, same thing to you?
Yeah, there's so much. I believe Lost Stars was the first book released for the new canon, if I'm not mistaken.
I think A New Dawn was.
Okay.
But then I think Lost Stars.
Okay, because it's like what a way to start or semi-start, kind of this new canon journey with like basically a love letter. Lost Stars is a love letter to the original trilogy while also establishing new things. And Claudia Gray just, God, I gotta be careful not to talk about Lost Stars, just the book, like just how much how much it's clear that the Empire and how much things like toxic military industrial complexes prey upon minoritized groups and people who have low income and how she's like, God, it's so good. But I think the thing that I initially, what really hooked me in was the fact that, let's be honest, in any other book about this type of thing, the girl would be the one to be the good.
Yes.
And the boy would be the bad. And Claudia flips the script and she lets this female character, this incredibly intricate, interesting, layered young woman, be on the side of the Empire. I was floored that that was the direction that she went, and that Thane is the one that goes to the rebellion. And what what a ballsy thing to do, like that was really, really cool, and I appreciated that kind of flipping up the script. And it's ironic, I wrote an essay about them in college.
Really?
Yeah. And it was for a Star Wars class, actually. I had a free elective.
Star Wars class?
I had an elective to fill, and I was like, what? Yeah. Okay. We read a lot of Claudia. That's actually how I started reading the Star Wars books, was because of that class.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it was great. And I wrote this essay about how like Thane is kind of the feminine energy, and Ciana. I was like, Serena.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Gossip Girl. Ciana is kind of this masculine energy, and they kind of flip flop like these, and went into kind of the details regarding that, and how just cool and innovative that was. I love because you get like, and to our point kind of about Anakin and Padme, when they're children, they're friends, they're best friends, and it's kind of grows into something romantic later on as they get older. I think there's a part, I haven't read Lost Stars in a while, but I think there's a part where Thane notices her, like, I think they're either going to a dance or it's some sort of formal event, and it's very like Goblet of Fire, like where she,
oh my
she
gosh,
comes in and she's in the dress, and he notices her, for the first time, and it kind of is like, oh, okay, and it's really, really cute. I'm a sucker for those types of moments. They're so wholesome and they're so sweet, and that kind of develops later on, and that push and pull between the two of them, and how one, like neither of them is gonna step back from their morals though, and the tragedy that kind of results from that, and it also just like shout out to Lost Stars also portraying that like people in the Empire, not everyone in the Empire is an asshole, like there are good people there that, there are people there that need jobs, and there are people there that are doing it to help their families, and and bring production to their planets. It's so ironic considering that A New Hope was made by George to be very black and white, and of course it was. It's A New Hope, and it was 1977, and it was meant to kind of be this sort of very strict dichotomy of good and evil. And as time has gone on, we get more creators adding depth and layers to these people who joined the Empire. And Ciana is just such a great example of that. They're both such great characters, and they have a really good chemistry and a really, really just awesome and sad and tragic relationship. But I mean, hey, she's not dead at the end. So
I know
we never got a follow-up.
Claudia, please.
Yeah, we need a sequel.
I think the biggest thing with like the sequel would just be sad the entire time.
It's true.
Because Ciana's going to jail, like,
yeah,
and Thane's just gonna visit her at jail, like. I don't want to see that.
Hey, but one of them's not dead. Win.
Yeah,
I count that as a win.
It is a win. And like I think Brooke mentioned earlier, like in Star Wars, like the big giant like kind of relationship thing with like it's very dramatic. The end of Lost Stars is like insanely dramatic. They're literally fighting each other for each other's lives on a Star Destroyer that's crashing into Jakku. Like, holy crap.
I thought the story was gonna end with like one of them killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I was like, I don't think I've ever read faster. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, what's gonna happen?
No, their story's amazing. They have just so many like just highlight moments throughout the entire book, which we did a Lost Stars episode a little while ago where we kind of dove into the entire book. But,
that episode's such a good episode of the podcast.
Yeah, not to brag, but it was pretty good.
Julia was just blowing all our minds, and Gray was too.
Yeah. Chris says rewrite the Lost Stars. Yeah, Rewrite the Stars is their song. That is Thane and Ciana's song. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Yeah.
I love that we're dropping songs in the chat. Hell yeah, keep it going.
Oh, like that song is them. I don't care what anyone says. I will listen to it and be like, Thane and Sienna, man.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. He did a really sad edit with the manga version of Lost Stars with Rewrite the Stars playing in the background. Oh, pain.
Pain. Very much pain.
Pain.
But yes, I think is that all you guys kind of have on Lost Stars before we move on to our final relationship?
Yeah.
All right. So finally, which I know Eggy has a lot to say here.
And
I was
Brooke.
like, do we have like another hour and a half?
I was about to say, don't forget Brooke. Me and Brooke are like both deep, neck deep, wading water in this ship
Yeah.
every moment of our lives.
Yeah.
Well, Ray and Ben, let's go
Yeah.
to Brooke first. Take it away.
Oh man. I think this is a lot of people want to compare their relationship to like Padme and Anakin, but I think they're very different, especially when you think like Anakin and Padme had an established romantic relationship. We don't necessarily get that with Rey and Ben. It's kind of like coded as romantic, and until the end it doesn't ever like come to fruition. So I think that makes it a lot more complicated and a lot more compelling, at least in my opinion. And gosh, it's so good. I love it. I love the concept of the dyad.
Yes.
I know a lot of people weren't crazy about it at first. I just think it's so cool that they like have been connected forever, and that they're like, you know, two sides of the same coin. I don't know. I love that trope. I think it's cool. But I feel like I don't want to address a lot of the negativity, but like I like using it as like a talking point to like counter, you know. So I know a lot of people are like, no, the relationship is so toxic, blah blah blah. Like Kylo Ren is like an abuser, blah blah blah. And it's like, let's slow down. Let's slow down. I'm not saying that Kylo Ren is innocent, because he's not. He's very much not. But the way that he treats Rey versus how he's treated everyone else that we see, it's very different, and it's different from the beginning. It's different from the bridal carry, when he could have easily like knocked her out with his lightsaber or whatever, you know what I mean, and just like dragged her over her shoulder, but they didn't do that, and that was intentional. I think that a romantic undertone was intentional the entire time. I think from the beginning, a lot of people saw it. I mean, I kind of got into the Reylo fandom after The Last Jedi, but that's because that was the first Star Wars movie I saw in the theater, and then I went back and watched all of them again.
Yeah.
And like had a lot of appreciate it. So I think it was a thing from the beginning, and I know like a lot of people are big like Finn Rey stans, and that's totally fine, because we could talk about like how, you know, they put the two white people together, the two white hetero people together, instead of, you know, putting her with like a black man. We could talk about that, because I think those are all valid, very valid conversations to have, and there are a lot smarter people that can talk about them better than I can. But I saw the foundation planted from the beginning, and the foundation of Kylo Ren turning to the light was foreshadowed from the beginning, and I just like from The Force Awakens, it's kind of elevated. Their connection is elevated in The Last Jedi, which the Force timing is like one of my favorite things that's like ever happened in fiction. I love it, and like the way that they did it with the sound design. Just I like was drenched in sweat walking out of the theater. Like, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I was like on the end of my seat like the entire time. And I was like, I didn't think I could like feel these things about two people that are supposed to hate each other, but I don't think they hate each other, and I don't understand what's going on. But I love that dynamic. I love like they are enemies to lovers, but they are also connected in a different way, and it's a deeper emotional connection. And I think that they could have done it and not had it end in anything romantic, and that deep connection is still there. I think the same themes and the same thing would still be there. Like, I would have taken away the same romantic vibes from it, if that makes sense. And I just love that, you know, they start as being so antagonistic towards each other, or it's more Rey antagonistic towards Kylo. I think the entire sequel trilogy is just Kylo being like, hey, can we talk? And she's like, no!
Feral Rey.
We cannot talk! And seeing their relationship change in The Last Jedi is like so special to me. I just think it's so cool, and so like kind of the way that they did it was very unexpected. How it's like, yeah, we're more similar than we are different, and we have this mutual understanding of each other and what we've gone through. And although Kylo does not display it as, you know, good as he could, you know, he tried his best, but we know that Skywalker men they're not good at flirting.
Dumb.
It's just consistent.
They're yes. I mean, yeah, and the Rise of Skywalker, I originally, like, I have a lot of feelings about the Rise of Skywalker, and it's grown on me a lot over time.
Same.
Yeah.
Like, the more I think about it, because I feel like coming off of The Last Jedi, when I first watched it, I was like, a lot of this stuff between them seems kind of out of character from what they just went through in the last movie, but there was a year in between, and they didn't, from what we know, they didn't really have any interactions between those two, between that time period. And, you know, Kylo put that wall back up, and Rey put that wall back up. So it makes more sense to me. But, like, I don't know, like, that man has been like smitten from the beginning. When the lightsaber went to her.
Yep.
Oh.
I know that there's like what is it, is it Forces of Destiny cartoon, whatever those like shorts are that they do. In that, it makes Kylo look angry at Rey, and I'm like, no. He is looking at her like, I just fell in love with this woman.
Yep.
Like, he was just starstruck at that point. And I don't know, I think because the two act, like, their chemistry was just like so strong, I just can't see it as anything other than romantic, you know what I mean? And I don't know, the end makes me sad. And like, as much as I would love to experience future stories with Ben and Rey, I get it thinking about it for so long. And that's what fanfic is for, to get, you know, what if he had lived? You know, we'll get so many stories from people that want to write that. And yeah, a lot of feelings.
A lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Brooke has been like my Kylo and Reylo buddy, like, since the beginning. Like, we've just been, I could listen to her talk about them forever. It just makes me feel so warm. And Brooke is right about everything. I hope you all wrote it down. There's going to be a quiz later.
Damn it.
I mean, just to kind of just sort of build on what she was talking about too. I'm a sucker for power couples. I'm a sucker for two, like, and you have these two super competent, super powerful warriors, and they fight together, and it's like, that's my shit. Like, the Last Jedi throne room stuff is my shit. Like, I'm like, put it in a bag. I'm buying it. Give it to me. Like,
Put it in a
that
bag.
is, oh God. And I do think that there is a special, like, and to see this, God, And there's also the element of an element that I really, really love about Ben/Kylo is that there is not a single part in the sequel trilogy, not a line of dialogue, not anything inferred by this character where he's embarrassed that he got beaten by a girl. That is never inferred from him. Snoke says it. Snoke tries to make him feel bad about it. You lost to a girl who never even held a lightsaber, you fool. No. Kylo's not concerned about that. Rey kicks his ass and he's like, I love you. Hi. Marry me? Yes, thank you. Like, I love a woman who can kick my ass. And when she catches the lightsaber and he looks at her, he is floored. He's struck by lightning. He is mesmerized and surprised and, you know, maybe a little tiffed, like, but because he's like, that's mine. You can have it. It's fine. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to come over? It's this, he's just this starstruck. Someone did a compilation in cinema history of like when the guy sees the girl for the first time in the movie. And it's always like the girl, and then it cuts to the guy and it's a slow zoom on the guy's face being like, wow. And how like, yeah, The Force Awakens does that. It does that to a T. Like it follows that. And kind of going on from sort of where I started mythologically with Anakin and Padme being Orpheus and Eurydice, Ben and Rey are, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, sorry. I'm at 20%. We're almost done. We're wrapping up. Piggybacking off of Anakin and Padme being Orpheus and Eurydice, Ben and Rey are Hades and Persephone. 100%. It is clear as day. He literally picks her up and takes her to the underworld. It's a whole thing. He's like, yes, come to my land of darkness. And if you ever want to see The Force Awakens is a phenomenal film. It is. Yes. I love The Force Awakens. I love it. I could talk about The Force Awakens forever. Oh. The only element I don't like about The Force Awakens is Starkiller Base. That is the only thing that I'm like, see, that's the one ding that I got for you. But everything else about it is just phenomenal. And if you ever want to compare Kylo's sort of the way he treats other people versus how he treats Rey, is to compare the scene where he interrogates Poe to the scene where he interrogates Rey. Everything is different. The scene where he interrogates Poe, he barges in there, it's dark. Poe has been beaten up. He's just like, give me what I want, fuck you, boom, 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 and hurts him physically. And then with Rey, it's like, he's kneeling in front of her. He's kneeling at her feet, which I'm like, She's in a brightly lit room, and he is just like, hi, would it be okay if you've seen the map? I know you have. Can you tell me? And she's like, what? No, go away. And he's like, right, but like, could you? Like, you know, and yes, of course there is. I know there are people who don't like Reylo, who don't like that scene. Totally get it. Like, and it also should be said, when it comes to ships, I am the chillest person ever. If you do not like Reylo, if you do not like this trope, that is fine. I totally understand. It's not for everybody. It's like, and even though I don't ship like Finn Rey, like I totally see how adorable they are. And I'm like, oh, they're really cute. Like, I totally get why people like them together. It's really sweet. You know, so like I see like the fun, it's supposed to be fun. And I usually will see like the fun in everything. So, but people who don't like it's totally okay. It just so happens to be my jam in a jar for me that I sleep with every night. And it's just this, I think I've talked about it before, but it just like when he says to her, like, you know, you're so lonely, so afraid to leave at night, desperate to sleep. Oh. Like he's talking to himself. He's not saying that to her. That's him. That's how he feels. And this connection that kind of comes between them because of this sort of shared experience is just really, really cool. And I've always been a big on like light and darkness. Like I'm a big proponent of, I'm a dark side representative. I am here to TED Talk for the dark side. Like, I don't think the dark side is evil. The dark side is like death, and the light side is like life. And death isn't fun, and it isn't a party, but you need it for there to be balance. It has to happen. It's a natural thing. And the answer is balance. It's lightness and darkness coming together in harmony and creating balance and restoring peace to the universe. And that's what they did together. And they have amazing chemistry, just like Brooke said, wonderful chemistry. It's like, I like my couple, like I like a couple that's like, are they going to kiss or are they going to fight? Like, are they going to what's going to happen? Like, I love it. And also to kind of talk about the rise of Skywalker and Ben's death as I have a lot of feelings on it, yada, yada, yada. But I think I couldn't have wished for a better way for Ben to die. Mm-hmm. If they were going to kill him, that's the best way. I love that in the fight, they swap roles and a lot. I talk a lot about masculine expression and feminine expression in Star Wars. I think maybe some of you have noticed that's the trend that I've been bringing up.
Yeah.
But Rey is the masculine in that fight, in the final fight. She is the force. She's the literal force. The I'm going to get this done. I'm going to beat up Palpatine. And Ben is the feminine. He's the healer. He's the passive kind of representation. He's the healer and the sacrifice. And the fact that they kind of swap that is beautiful. And it's like everything. It also goes to show that everything that Ben Solo is, Kylo Ren wasn't. Like, everything about him changes. Like, Kylo Ren would have been the big, I'm going to fight. And Ben Solo is like, no. Like, let me heal you. I will sacrifice for you. And it's beautiful. And just like, I mean, I don't even know if we can talk about how horny The Last Jedi is. And it's so horny, and it's like, whoa, there's a lot here. And the last thing I'll talk about, because we could talk about forever, is one of the things that I love. I'm a big proponent, and I have a lot of opinions. I love Snoke. I mean, I hate him, but I love him as a villain. He's a very effective villain, and I'm a big proponent that, like, this is his relationship with Ben is one of emotional, mental, and physical abuse. One of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars is the establishing scene between Kylo and Snoke in The Force Awakens. Yes. I think that is a phenomenal scene. It gives you everything you need to know about these two characters and their relationship with each other in like 2 minutes. And it's a very abusive relationship, and it's this kind of the realization that Kylo, I'll just say Kylo has been sort of taking this abuse for years and contextualizing it a different way in order to convince himself that he made the right decision, which he didn't. And there's the scene, but he takes this abuse, but the second that Snoke puts his hands on Rey, Kylo goes, no.
He's mad.
Nobody touches my girlfriend.
Yeah. Like, you can hurt me. You can't hurt her. Like, you can't, like, that is what his love for her is, what encourages him to finally kill his abuser. And it's like, that is like, and a lot of people have different interpretations of the scene where Snoke is killed. Like, people think like, oh, this means that Kylo's bad for good because, Darksiders, Sith, they always kill their masters, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's a totally valid reading. Like, that's what makes The Last Jedi so great, is that you can have multiple readings of multiple things. For me, I'm like, he just killed his abuser, pop the champagne, let's go. Like, this is totally good. Like, and then the obvious, just like the fact that, like, it's just Pride and Prejudice in space, complete with the fumbled proposal.
Literally
the proposal. Like, I always say that Kylo basically is like, marry me, you gross peasant. And Grey's like, what? He's like, I love you. But you're like poor. She's like, what? It's just how much I love, like, another really fun kind of dynamic swap where it's like Kylo is like, I'm sure Brooke has seen the memes where it's like, it's a picture of Ben Solo, and next to him is like a cabinet full of hair products and moisturizers. And then it's a picture of Rey, and it's a picture of like 13-in-1 shampoo, conditioner and shampoo. Like, and it's like, yep. Like feral Rey and like sweet Ben is the funniest thing to me. Like, he's the rich boy, he's the Prince of Alderaan, I have a calligraphy set, and Rey's like, I'm gonna eat everything on that table. Like, that's hilarious. Like, and sweet. And I have so much headcanon. Like, if they actually got thing Brooke said. But yeah, people who aren't into it, totally cool. Totally understand. But yeah, but it's just like, that's just, they just, oh man, they're just iconic together. I have so much Reylo merchandise that it's not okay.
It's not okay.
Not okay.
I mean, holy moly, you guys hit that. I feel like we could talk another hour and a half on just them.
I'm on the internet a lot. It's funny. So when I saw The Last Jedi, I was like, I need more of this. I need more of people that like them and ship them. So I went to Tumblr and found a bunch of like Reylo shit. And then I didn't touch Tumblr again until The Rise of Skywalker, and I didn't realize that I hadn't touched Tumblr until I went back on it after The Rise of Skywalker, and all my last reblogs were like things from The Last Jedi, and I was like, damn, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's a reason people like it, and it's cool if you don't. I think there's so many other valid ships that you can have in the sequel trilogy. I think someone earlier asked what we thought about like Rey and a future romantic relationship, like post sequels.
Yeah.
And like I'm like open to that for her if that's what she wants, but I also feel like she could kind of be like an Ahsoka figure where it's not really important to her story anymore. So I feel like I could be either way. I know the original episode 9 script had like a romantic thing with her and Poe, and
it was so weird.
Just seems gross. And like I would maybe be open to it like way down the line, like if they, if something happened like in the future. But I'm also a very big like Poe Finn like shipper as well.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I don't know. I feel like the two of them together are like for me, I think it was either going to be them or no one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have put them together romantically with any other characters.
Dude, the worst part about the Duel of the Fates script, still relating to Rey and Ben, was in the Duel of the Fates script, the big reveal of like who Rey's parents are is they're nobody. Kylo killed them. That's literally what the reveal is. So it's like that would have
the timeline on that makes
it's like,
no sense.
Yeah, 12-year-old, 15-year-old just went to this random planet, and what?
It's so
What?
dumb.
Yeah, no. I think that the Rise of Sky, I really wish that they could have just taken like the Finn stuff from Duel of the Fates and just
Yeah.
plugged that into Rise of Skywalker. Like, and then just everything else could just be thrown in the trash. Just get it away from me. I don't want to look at it. And I'm not even like, I was very like, when I saw The Force Awakens, because I'm with Brooke, I didn't really jump on the Reylo train until after The Last Jedi. Because after The Force Awakens, funnily enough, people were like, oh, what did you think of Kylo Ren? And I was like, I don't know yet. Like, we only have one movie. I'm not really sure how I feel about anybody. Like, we'll see what happens. And then, The Last Jedi came out, and just like Brooke, I was like, I think he's right about everything. Is he the secret protagonist? Like,
The secret
what is
protagonist.
happening? like, is this like, what's going on? And he like, and oh, I lost my thought, but I jumped on it after that, and I just found the fandom, and it was just so fun and great, and they are perfect together. I'm also not against. Oh, what I was going to say was, but I was like, I try to be as open as possible, and I wasn't like I mean, it wasn't what I wanted, but I was open to like, if you want to keep Kylo a bad guy, okay. But like, I had a kind of like, you got to do it right. Like, I want like you really to kind of lay on the tragedy with him. Like, he couldn't save himself, blah, 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 blah. Just kind of making him just this fucking monster. Like, just was this like we're gonna make him just really unlikable, like just wasn't the answer for me. I was like,
Yeah.
no, just you literally spent the last movie just kind of making him empathetic, and now it's like he murdered everyone. Ha. And it's like, what? Like, what kind of whiplash is that? So I wasn't against him saying a bad guy. I really wanted redemption for him, but I wasn't against it. But that angle just didn't work for me. But yeah, and I'm not against Ray finding love in the future. I think that's totally cool. I'm down for it. Whatever. It's like I love Ray so much. It's like whatever you want, sweetie. Like if you want to date someone else, I support you. Like absolutely. But I am also a huge Finn Poe shipper, so I love those two together, and I have like
what character is supposed to represent who, and I was like, as soon as like her, so Finn is like her roommate in the thing, and as soon as I was like, yes, this is perfect,
yes,
it's amazing. So it's great.
That's gotta be. I have to pick that up.
I read it in like 6 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's really good.
Is that the Raylo it was a fanfic writer turned to like Raylo turned to an actual book? Sorry, my connection dropped for a second again. It's like the 20th time.
Oh, you're good.
Yes, it was originally a Raylo fanfic and was published into a book. Obviously, names and things were changed, but you can make parallels, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I have to pick it. And by the way, like it's like this like bestseller. Like it's like knocking. It's an incredibly successful book.
Yeah, I don't have it with me, but the cover is literally Ray and Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
what's
really
it
cute.
called?
The Love
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis.
Love Hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I. Yeah. There is no denying that it is a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's them. It's literally them.
1000% them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Super cute.
Yeah, it's
and
a New York
just
Times bestseller.
Yeah. And it's I mean there's such a great way to end and such a great way to just they're just the best. I just like man they're the best. They're so cute. He's so awkward. It's so funny. God, is he fucking dumb. Like it's just like he tries so hard, and like, you know, and that's part of the appeal. Like people are kind of like, why do you like, he's like a spoiled brat. I'm like, yeah, but that's part of the fun. Like he's like, the girl took my toy, like I want my lightsaber. It's just like, it's just funny, and it's, you know, their dynamic has always just been very interesting to me and very just mythical, and like, and then another one of those big, ridiculous, bombastic, dramatic, like we're on opposite sides of a war, but there's a connection and we're drawn together, like just like I just keep giving you my cup, asking for refills, like more please, more please, thank you, I love this. So yeah, but
yeah,
you
guys, like, holy crap,
that
is out of the park.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's kind of, just to kind of wrap things up. I mean, you got like, well, I was not expecting that for Ray and Ben.
Well, they did
amazing.
say they were gonna pop off in Ray and Ben, so I knew something was gonna happen. But you guys took it.
You knew what this was when you invited us on here.
It was because of Loki and Sylvie. I remember watching Brooke talk about how she was a Raylo, and then I remember Aggie was a Raylo, and I was like pairing.
I could go on forever about those parallels there, but you know, it's fine.
Yeah, so amazing. But yeah, I guess kind of to wrap everything up, I mean, there's so many amazing ships in Star Wars, and kind of just to conclude everything again, who are you guys? Where can we find you? And then what's your favorite ship in Star Wars? I think I probably already know the answer, but let's go to Brooke first. Besides,
other than Ray and Ben, fair enough. Okay, well, hello. I mean, goodbye, I guess. Thank you guys for having me on. You can find me on TikTok at B_Dazzler. I post a lot of Star Wars things. Sometimes I post some Marvel things. Sometimes I post about stuff that I make. If you want to buy some stuff that I make, I have an Etsy store called Far Far Away Factory. You should check it out. Got lots of cool stuff. You can catch me on Twitch once in a while. It's just bdazzler with 2 underscores. And I've tried to be a lot more active on Twitter as well, which is just _bdazzler_. Been having a lot of fun over there while TikTok is like figuring itself out with my content, just not being seen. But, you know, it's fine. It is what it is. And okay, my favorite ship outside of Ray and Ben. That's so hard because there are so many. I don't think it's my favorite, but I will say that I really liked Han and Kira.
Ooh.
Which we didn't talk about, but
Yeah.
I think they have such an interesting dynamic. Very like kind of reminds me of Thane and Sienna a little bit, for being honest. And then I absolutely love Cal and Marin, even though it's not really at this point it's not really romantic, but it's just like they're just like really cute, and I hope that I want him to train her as like a Jedi, and I want them to fall in love in Jedi Fallen Order too. So
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wasn't expecting Han and Kira. I mean, there's plenty that we missed today, so we have to make a part 2. That might be a really fun episode.
Or we
And
just-
Eggy, same thing to you.
Or we could just do a Raylo episode.
Eggy, same thing to you. Where can we find you?
Your
And-
audio is not working.
Oh no. This
be back.
happened last time.
I will say Cassian and Jin, that never was. That too. I feel like I keep thinking of ones that we didn't talk about, and I'm like, but
We'll have more to talk about if we do a part 2.
Yeah.
for sure.
I love like the last 2 episodes were like, we got to do a part 2 to this last one because you
Yeah,
need to bring the same
like,
people back.
Ron, we'll have to do a part 2. We'll have to do part 2 to this. Oh, and then I remember there was an episode of Star Wars where they did fanfics, and that was a cursed episode of a podcast.
Oh my God.
Aw.
And Eggy, same thing to you.
Hey, sorry. Okay, sorry. I had to plug my phone is going, so I
You're
had to plug
good.
it into charge. Okay. So you can find me on TikTok, Miss Eggy on TikTok. I post a bunch of Star Wars stuff. I post some DC stuff. I post kind of whatever I want. I posted videos about Dune. Like I just kind of talk about whatever I want. And you can find me on Twitter at MissEggy28. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. Working on my Instagram, still figuring it out. But yeah, so my besides Raylo, my favorite Star Wars ship is. I'll also give some love to a ship we couldn't get to, which is Quinlan Voss and Ventress.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. Also kind of enemy, also well, not even kind of, very much so enemies to lovers, but very different. Not all enemies to lovers. I think sometimes people think like enemies to lovers, like, well, it's all the same thing. It's like, no, you can put in things so fun and cool. I loved the passion of that relationship. It was a very like
Passionate, aggressive,
Yeah.
kinky.
there was some like they never this isn't a novel on a certain shelf but like there's some sexuality there but with
Some.
them, and there is like there is like mentioned encounters between them, and I appreciated that. I appreciated kind of like sometimes you roll into fiction and Star Wars usually has to play it very PG-13. Sure, of course, and that's fine. But I kind of appreciated sort of like this sexuality between the two of them. I thought was really, really interesting and different and fun and sexy. They're two very attractive people. Like I love it. And very capable people. So really into that. If we ever do a part 2, we can cover them and Kira and Han and like all the people we couldn't get to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll give
sure.
Hereth time to finish the book.
Yeah. Finish the book.
Yeah, but thank you guys so much for having me on again. This is wonderful. Brooke, you are an icon. You're the best.
Know you.
and
Know
know
you.
you. And always so good to see you. But yeah, this was great, guys. Thanks for having me on. It was really fun.
No, yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining. This was a blast. I had a great time.
For sure.
But yeah, let's recover the chat real quick. Who all joined us? We got Master Euro, Scholar. We got St. Pat, Chris, Star Wars Lawyer, Forward into the Black, Kieran Barr, Element 7. Brooke is in the chat a little bit. We got Brian with the beard.
Brian!
We got Cam. We got. That's all my thing goes up. I don't get the full thing.
I got the
I
full
think we
thing.
missed Luke. Pods One Podcast was in there.
Darfman86.
Yep, Darman 86. We may be missing a few of
Ace
you,
Bronx.
but Ace Bronx. St. Pat. I think we already said him.
Yeah.
But yeah. Hereth, you want to close us out?
Yeah. Just overall, again, I thought this was a good episode, and just may the force be with you.
May the force be with you!